up, everybody? How y'all doing? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha. Represent Mocha's Cafe de Paris. I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. Welcome you to Mocha's podcast. If this is your first time here, checking out any of my content for the first time, and you like what you hear, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I want to give a shout out to all of my subscribers, my family, my A1s from day one, those of you who have been rocking with me since I started my channel, and you're still rocking with me to this day. I definitely want to thank you for your loyalty and your dedication, and for still rocking with your girl after all of this time. Again, I want to thank y'all. If you have just recently subscribed to the family, I welcome you to Mocha's Cafe de Paris family. I hope you continue to stay a part of the family, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so as well. So, moving right along. We knew this was coming. It was only a matter of time. Nicki Minaj has decided to cancel her 2021 MTV VMAs performance. She's the only musician as of now who has decided to pull the plug on, performing with the VMAs. And she basically had to pull out due to the fact that her husband has a lot going on with an upcoming trial coming up, and she's pretty much going to have her hands full. So this is not something that this was not news that was reported from one of those black bloggers like the Shade Room or Media Takeout. This was actually something that even the biggest news bloggers like USA Weekly and all of people more relevant bloggers, put it that way, more relevant celebrity news reporters had pulled this information out as well. So basically, she has revealed that she has pulled out of her scheduled performance at the MTV Video Music Awards on September 13th. The superstar rapper hadn't been formally unveiled as taking it to the stage at the illustrious ceremony in New York, but she took to Twitter to say that she would explain why she had pulled out at a later date. When asked by a fan, the Starship singer replied, "I just pulled out. I'll explain why another day." So the 38-year-old rapper went on to praise the VMAs producers, Bruce Glimmer, and promised that she would be back in attendance in next year's ceremony. She continued, "But I love those guys at MTV. Thank you, Bruce. I love you so much. Next year we will be there, baby." So basically, she's put it out there that right now, she has to pull out due to the fact that her husband and herself is dealing with this trial that's going to be coming up relatively soon with her husband Kenneth Petty, who has decided to plead guilty due to the accusation. Well, not the accusation, it has been confirmed that he failed to register as a sex offender. So because of that, he has to face the music. And at this point in time, I know it's a bit much being a star. And on top of being a star, you have to deal with the fact that your husband, who is a registered sex offender, has to answer to these violations that have been brought to his attention, and he has to answer to it. So, as I stated, we knew this was coming. For whatever reason, Mr. Kenneth Petty, I don't know if he thought that because he's this spouse of a star, a husband to a star, I don't know if in the back of his mind he felt like he was exempt from following the lands of the law of the land, or he felt invincible, or he felt like he was above the law. I don't know what was going on in his mental psyche for him to think that because he was married to Nicki Minaj, he did not have to follow and obey the rules and restrictions and the regulations as a registered sex offender. So basically, if y'all haven't heard already, Nicki Minaj pulls 2021 MTV VMAs performance amid husband Kenneth Petty's legal issues next year would be there. So she revealed that she will no longer be performing at the 2021 MTV Video Music Awards days before the event takes place, which is the 13th. While responding to an eager Twitter user, the 38-year-old already hinted that she previously had something special planned for the award show. But we know the real deal. It's no coincidence, that she's pulling the plug. She has to deal with this situation because Kenneth Petty just pled guilty, and we're going to talk more about that. The Bang Bang rapper's tweet came shortly after US Weekly confirmed that her husband, Kenneth Petty, could face up to 10 years in prison after previously failing to register as a sex offender. He pleaded guilty to the charge during a virtual hearing with the Los Angeles federal court on Thursday. Petty, 43, did not register as a sex offender when he relocated to California in 2019. He was convicted of attempted rape in New York more than 2 decades prior for an incident that occurred with a 16-year-old in September 1994. He served roughly 4.5 years in prison and is required by law to put his name on a local registered sex offender list whenever he moves. If given the minimum sentence at his next hearing, Petty could face as little as 5 years of supervised release and a $100 court assessment fee. The maximum sentence, on the other hand, includes up to 10 years in federal prison, a lifetime of supervised release, and a $250,000 fine, or twice the gross loss resulting from the offense. Minaj and Petty tied a knot in October 2019 and welcomed their first child, a son, the following September. Earlier this year, the Grammy nominee opened up about the challenges of being a working mom. So, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to go all into that. But as you can see, that's the real reason she's pulling out. Because Nikki's husband, her husband, has decided to plead guilty, which he should. There's nothing for him to contest. It's evident that he was not following the policies of being a registered sex offender, which means you cannot travel out of country, you cannot move to another location without reporting it to your community supervised officer, known as your parole officer. So there was nothing for him to be able to fight to get out of that. There was no excuse, there was no lie, there was no reason he would have been able to condone not following the orders of being a registered sex offender. So Nicki Minaj's husband, Kenneth Petty, pleads guilty to failing to register as a sex offender. Nicki Minaj's husband pleaded guilty to failure as a registered sex offender after he moved from New York to California. Petty had previously pleaded not guilty to the charge, but changed his plea in court documents filed in California Thursday, September 9th. So he pretty much already knew, lying about it or whatever excuse he was going to be able to try to use to get out of not having to plead. I guess he came to his senses. I don't know if his lawyer told him that, look, it's not going to matter what you do at this point. You're only going to add more fuel to the fire if you do not plead. They already got evidence when you went to Trinidad, and you didn't get permission from your parole officer to go to another country with Nicki Minaj. You was a registered sex offender at that time when you traveled in this country. Not only that, you moved from New York to California without getting permission from your community supervised officer. So it's already been a couple of violations, and it's by the grace of God they did not go ahead and lock him up in prison. And that may have a lot to do with the fact that he is tied to a millionaire. Now, the way the court systems work these days, long as you got the money, they'd rather take the money than for you to do the time. So I honestly I really don't believe Kenneth Petty is going to do any time because of who he's tied to. The courts is just going to keep milking and juicing Nicki Minaj because, let's be honest, we know she's the breadwinner, she's the one making the money. They're just going to keep milking her. No different than that young black female who won that, I don't know how much it was it $200 million, $300 million lottery? I can't remember, but she won a large substantial amount of lottery money, and her thug boyfriend, even with all her millions, she had one from the lottery, he kept getting in bull crap, and the courts just kept finding the hell out of him, and they wasn't charging him no little fines, they was charging him heavy fines, and it was only because they knew his millionaire lottery winning girlfriend or fiance at the time. They knew, they was aware that she had all of this money, so they was intentionally charging him hefty fines that they wouldn't normally charge a broke criminal or a criminal who's nowhere in that financial bracket. Matter of fact, her name was, yeah, she won 188 million. Yeah, and then he had the audacity to sue her when they broke up, when he got in some more trouble down the line. Yeah, her name was Marie Holmes. She won $175 million lottery, and you know, she had a thug boyfriend, you know, who's always been in and out of the correctional system, and you know, like any other offender, he was institutionalized. So even with all the millions that his fiance had won, where they could have lived a better life, he was still selling drugs. He was still, you know, had that street mentality. You know, you could take a dude out the street, but you can't take the street side of man. Yeah, his name was Lamar Andre McDowell, and I remember she even helped him to start his own auto mechanic shop and all of that. But because of his institutionalized mind, he couldn't get it together. So anyway, the main reason I brought that up is because these court systems, the judicial system, unfortunately, there's I would say there's a little discrimination to a certain degree, because once they are aware that you make a substantial amount of money, they're going to charge you way more than the average criminal offender. Your bail is going to be higher. Bonding you out is going to be more expensive. Your fines and fees are going to be more expensive. Your court fees are going to be more expensive. The average broke Joe like myself, my court fee for a traffic violation may be $200, you know, $250. A millionaire, on the other hand, if they commit a traffic violation, they may decide to charge them $2,000. You know what I mean? You know, and it's all about a dollar. And basically, that's what Nicki Minaj is up against right now. So I can understand why she's pulling out his VMA awards, because she's going to have her work cut out for her. Her husband is a registered sex offender, and he pled guilty, and she does not know what she's up against at this point in time, being that he can possibly do just 5 years of probation. If not, depending on what kind of judge it's over the case, the judge may decide to be nasty and say, you know what, I'm gonna make an example out of this, you know, NICCA. I'm gonna make an example out of this nigga and make him do the whole 10 years. You already violated twice. I don't care if you are the celebrity of Nicki Minaj. I'm gonna light you to the fire. Or he may just, you know, decide to just keep finding the hell out of them, you know, and give him 5 years of probation, which means if he's 5 years of probation, that's money constantly to the state, because you got to pay your probation officer. The state makes money off of you every time you go do a piss test, every time, you know, all these requirements that got to be met. They can constantly keep getting money off of you as long as you're on probation. So me personally, I don't think they're going to lock him up in prison, even though I think that would be the best thing to do. But that'd be getting him off too easy. Being that he's married to a millionaire, they're just going to keep tacking those funds. That's what I think. They already, I mean, like I said, he had 2 violations, and he was released, you know, on bonds. Just money. When he failed to register leaving from transition from New York to California, that bond was for $20,000. We know who paid that. You know, we already know who paid that. He didn't pay it. Then he turned himself in March of 2020 and was released on $100,000 bond. So we know who paying that. That's Nicki money. Not only that, the judge may take into consideration, they both allegedly Petty and Minaj were sued for allegedly intimidating the victim that Petty was convicted of attempting to rape. So in the suit, Jennifer 𝐜𝐻 alleged that Minaj directly and indirectly intimidated, harassed, and threatened her to recant, pretty much change her story that he didn't rape her, which evidently Nicki Minaj knows nothing about the law and how it works, because at this point, even if the victim wanted to drop it, she couldn't because the state took it up. If that's the case, a lot of people would get off. A lot of criminals would get off because somebody changed their mind. It's no different than a woman that's been battered and beat on by her husband. She may tell law enforcement after she done agreed for them to go lock him up and take him away. She may decide to go to his court hearing and change her story and say, hey, he didn't beat me up, we just had a bad night. Well, guess what? Damage is already done, because you have to look at the fact that when the incident occurred, when the husband was committing this offense by beating on his wife, law enforcement has pictures of her black eyes. They have evidence that she went to the hospital and was seen by the doctor when the EMS came over. All of that stuff is already documented. So even though she may want to save her husband's neck now, it's too late. The state done took it up. But Nicki Minaj being a star, a lot of stars don't feel like they have to educate themselves because they feel like, I have the money, I have the clout, I have I can afford attorneys, I can afford lawyers. If you don't educate yourself, you can easily be pimped. Even as a millionaire, you'll be pimped even more, because these lawyers can sit up here and lie to you and set you up for failure and make you think you stand a chance of bonding your husband out or getting your husband off. And they know in the back of their minds, this shit ain't no way this dude getting off. He's not getting off. But when you're uneducated and you're so gung-ho to defend your husband that has already had a corrupt past way before you got with him, these lawyers will take you for what you got. A lot of them not going to be honest. Some of them not. Most of them ain't going to be honest to say, look here, I could take you for everything you got because you Nicki Minaj. But I'm going to be honest with you, ma'am. I'm not going to charge you or make you pay a high fee to fight this case for you, because I'm going to be honest with you. He's not going to be able to get out of this. Before you invest any more money, before you invest any more time, I'm just letting you know, the chances of him getting out of this is slim to none. Now, if you want to still pay me this heavy retainer's fee, that's your business, but I'm going to be honest with you. This is not looking good for him. He's already had 2 violations, and now the victim has already put it out there, allegedly, that y'all have tried to coerce her into changing and recant her story. This is not looking good. Not too many of them are going to be honest with her. And Nikki strikes me as the kind of person, as the type of woman where she's not going to face reality. She's just going to dive in head first and hope for the best. And you have a lot of women who do this. They dive in and hope for the best. It's kind of like walking through a dark damn cave. You just walk through it and hope that you don't get jumped. Hope a bear doesn't pop out of nowhere and devour your ass to pieces. You just walk through and just hope and pray that you make it to the end of the tunnel. And this is the most dangerous position, especially a woman of her status could put themselves in, because I honestly don't think Nicki Minaj has any idea what the hell she signed up for. What she's done, like a lot of broken women, when they have had multiple failed relationships, and instead of them falling back, taking some time out for themselves to reevaluate why they keep meeting the wrong men, why they keep having the same issue with these multiple failed relationships, instead of taking that time to do some self-evaluation, what she did was she ran back out there and grabbed the first dude that was willing to give her attention. And one thing we know about better dudes don't have a problem giving a woman attention, especially if she's a millionaire. So Kenneth Petty, you have to realize he's older than her. He's 42, she's 38. So he already has an advantage age-wise. Not only that, he has an advantage street-wise because he's from the streets. He's from the gutter. Nicki Minaj acts street, but she's not from the street. She may flow like she from the street. She may act a little hood, but she not as street as Kenneth Petty. So he had an advantage in that. He knew how to win her over. He knew how to finesse her. And when a woman is vulnerable for attention, it doesn't take much to be finessed. It's like a woman when you've been through so many broke dudes who never took you out to eat, who never spent any money on you. Here it is, a regular average Joe. He could buy a hot dog or take you to the $5.99 super buffet, and it didn't mean the world to you because you're not used to that. You're not used to a man doing for you. You're not used to a man caring for you. You're not used to that. I remember one time I had a girlfriend of mine. Me and her was going out somewhere together, and she had her boyfriend with her. So it was like I was like a third wheel, but you know, we call ourselves. She was seeking to marry him, so I was giving her information on the courthouse where she can go to get it done. So anyway, I rode with them. I rode with her and her fiance there at the time, and the rules had changed. I didn't know at that time. Now you got to get a blood test and all this other stuff or whatever. So they ended up not getting married at that particular courthouse I recommended them to. But since we were already there in Carolina and it was close to lunchtime, he said, you know, well, let's go stop and get some lunch or whatever before we head back in town. So we had stopped to go get something to eat at a little Dairy Queen. Just wanted a chili dog and some ice cream, something simple. And I remember clearly in front of me, she went in her purse and pulled out her money. She was getting ready to pay for me and her man to eat. And I guess he sensed, or his pride, ego, whatever, he had decided, oh no, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take care of everything. He had decided to pay for the both of us. And I can tell when she looked at him, she was shocked that he even offered to pay for our ice cream and chili dogs. And she had, I think she had like $20 or something. And she shoved that $20 back in her purse so quick, like, ooh, he's offering to pay. Let me hurry up and put my money in my pocketbook because shit, he may never do it. He may change his mind. I'm going to take the money back. And that's how you know when a woman is with the man who she has gotten accustomed to him not doing for her, not stepping up and not what's the word, not you know, making her feel, you know, like she's worthy, you know what I mean? So that, it kind of threw me off. I'm like, cause me personally, I'm used to my husband always paying. And there's been times I treated us, but for the most of the part, he's always paying. So I'm not going to get excited if he decides to pay for my meal because I'm used to that. So when a woman gets excited over little things a man does, it's because she's so used to not getting those little things. You feel me? Yeah. So anyway, that's what, you know, Nicki Minaj, she got desperate. You know, I don't care who's a Barb's fan. You know, I don't care, you know. You got people that's going to validate these celebrities and defend these celebrities like these celebrities pay their light bill. And these are the same celebrities, you know, that if you was to stop in the street and ask them for their autograph, depending on if you catch them in a funky ass day, you know, they won't even sign it. You know what I mean? You got some that's just that nasty. They don't know how to put their personal stuff aside, not understanding you're a fan. So you'll only meet them once in a lifetime, while they're going to meet several of their fans in their lifetime. So it's that one bad encounter they give you, it stings you. I had one celebrity that was really nasty to me, and to this day, he's a comedian, and he has his own his own radio show and all of that, and he was very nasty to me during a brief meeting. And he's that's another story because I'm going way somewhere else. But anyway, ever since he gave me a nasty remark when I told him that his stepdaughter was my cousin, he got offended and told me that's not his stepdaughter, that's his daughter, when clearly I'm related to the biological father. So that's why I told Mr. Comedian that, you know, just to let you know, I'm related to your stepdaughter. he got offended and said, well, that's my daughter. Instead of him saying, he could have said it a little nicer than that. Well, yeah, she's my stepdaughter, but I see her more than that. I see her as a daughter. And I could have understood that because I got a stepdaddy. But no, he got really nasty with me. And ever since then, I have not really been a fan of, I'll just put out there, Mr. Ricky Smiley, because of his delivery. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, cool. I ain't meant nothing personal by it. You know what I mean? But, anyhow, you got some celebrities, they'll do that, you know what I mean, and they don't understand just sometimes your delivery and how you come at people, even if it's for that split second, it leaves a sting on him, leave a sting on people, especially somebody who was a fan or a supporter. So anyway, so back to this thing with Nicki Minaj. She allowed her desperation to get the best of her. And now, they've been married since 2019. I guess that's 3-4 years. It's already been a rocky road. She's dealing with a whole nother lifestyle that she's not used to dealing with. She's constantly dealing with lawyers, dealing with probation officers, dealing with continuous court fees. This is a whole nother life that Kenneth Petty brought her in, or should I say she wanted to be brought in, because she allowed desperation to get the best of her to where she did not care. She did not care to get to know him a little bit more. She did not care to become a little bit more familiar with his background and what it consists of being a registered sex offender. But now she's finding out. And with him pleading, we all know he's not going to do any time. I doubt it, because what it is, the state is just going to want money. And even though she's a millionaire, she has to be very careful of how much money she invests, into Kenneth Petty's legal matters. Because it's one thing if you're investing a lot of money and you're getting what you want. The truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, me being a personnel of law enforcement, the truth of the matter is, it does not matter how much money she pays for courts, she pays for attorneys, she pays for judges. It does not matter. Once you become a registered sex offender, that is a lifetime offense. You can't pay it off. You can't give a judge $1 million check. Now, you do have some judges that are corrupt. However, even the judge has to answer to higher authority. So even judges are not going to risk losing their hard-earned years of integrity where they can retire for a lifetime over $1 million, $2 million check. I mean, you got some that are compromising to do it, and some have done it, but it's very slim. So my thing, what Nicki Minaj has to understand, this would never be over for him. This would never be over. Kenneth Petty is going to be a lifetime registered sex offender. Now, the other bad part about this, all of y'all, what y'all are not understanding is Mr. Petty is in a very challenging, difficult situation, because he's married to a woman that has a lot. And with that being said, he's going to have to conquer temptation on so many levels. He's going to have to really man up like he's never manned up before, because when you're with a millionaire, you have so much access to things that the average person does not. I only have access to my Toyota RAV4. Okay, I don't have 4 or 5 cars in my garage that if I tear up one car, I can just jump into another car. I have to be more cautious of the decisions that I make, because I'm not in a position, I don't have the millions to compensate for every time I make a bad decision. We can't afford lawyers. We can't afford, you know, just all type of unnecessary money, just so I can avoid having an answer to my responsibilities and the bad choices that I have made. So the thing about it is, what Nicki Minaj has to understand is, as a wife, I'm sure she's trying to mean well by being supportive, by paying attorneys fees, and you know, trying to keep Kenneth Petty content, because she knows that he's limited. He can't really do what she does, and that's the bad part, because they're married. Whenever she goes on tour in other states, he can't just up and go, because he got to be back home at a certain time. If she wants to travel and go out of state, she wants to go to France or Paris, he can't go. It's like being married to an underage child who has parents that still has restrictions on a child. She basically cheated herself, because she has a beautiful son from a man that she's married to as her husband, and Nicki Minaj is never really going to be able to enjoy her husband, and she knows it, because she's already getting a glimpse of it within the 3 years that she's been married to him, which is why they was trying to coerce the victim into recanting the story, because she's seeing already how difficult it is for him. And as a married woman, because I've been married 22 years come March 11th, so anytime your husband or your wife makes a bad decision, it affects you. Anytime they go through something, it affects you. If your husband robs a bank, if your wife gets strung out on heroin, you can be the good recipient all you want, but you're going to feel the effect of the bad choices that your companion does, because like the Bible say, husband and wife, two come together, there's no separation. Y'all are as of one body. So it means whatever you do is going to affect your wife or your husband, or whatever you do is going to affect them, vice versa. So Nikki's already feeling the funk, because she rushed into this relationship head first. She dived straight in the pool head first, without really doing her research. And a lot of women are guilty for this, especially desperate women, lonely women. You moving men up in your house who you don't know that well. You having babies from men because you feel like you about to hit the wall. You past 37 years old. I ain't had no baby yet. I gotta hurry up and get one. You get pregnant from the first bum that you see. So that's why, a lot of black women that are single women, they catch a lot of heat for being single. Being told, oh, you done hit the wall, you raggedy. But isn't it better for her to have been single at the age of 40 with no kids than 35 with 6-7 baby daddies, and she's not married to any of them? So I really feel like at times sisters don't get too much props for when they try to do the right thing. It's some women out here, they still single, yes, because they're a little too picky, and they unrealistic. They have unrealistic expectations, and all of that is true. But at the same time, you got some sisters who don't want to be a goddamn baby mama, who don't want to hurry up and rush and get married just because they feel like they're about to hit the wall. So you got to look at both sides of the spectrum. No more than an independent bachelor who's not about to marry the first woman who acts like she's in love with him, and he's splitting his condo with her, moving him in his condo stuff he worked hard for, sharing his Lexus or Acura with her, and she never made first payment. I mean, a person that has established a lot for themselves, y'all have to be way more careful, especially when you're picking up people who have not endured the struggle with you, who was not there during the peak of your success. And with Nicki Minaj, Kenneth Petty was not there through her success, you know, so he's reaping the benefits. But the problem is, and you have to be careful how you do stuff, because as the saying goes, when you go into things with a hidden agenda, it usually does not work out the way you think. Now, Nicki Minaj grabbed him quick out of desperation because she wanted to prove a point to Safari and Meek Mill and the rest of the other men who she felt like failed her, and she felt like her clock was ticking, so she hurried up and grabbed, you know, a nickel off the clearance rack that was easily accessible. And he, on the other hand, being greedy, being street, he left his stripper girlfriend or whoever who was down with him throughout this whole duration of him being a sex offender, which she looks a lot like Nicki Minaj, so he does have a type. He left her to go be with Nicki Minaj because he wanted the lifestyle. You know, I'm sure he probably has a love for Nikki, but let's be honest, it's because she's Nikki. 10% of it may have something to do with her just being his wife, but we know the majority of it has to do with it being Nicki Minaj. So they both got more than what they was looking for. They both bit off more than they could chew. Because what's the use of being with a millionaire and you can't enjoy, you don't get the benefits of it. You don't get to enjoy the luxury of it because you have rules, regulations, and policies. And to be honest with you, I think Nikki and Kenneth is more miserable with each other than what they're pretending. They're putting off this persona because, of course, Nikki is in too deep now. So the last thing she wants to do is make it look like I done had a baby from this man, I done married this man, and I still failed once again. A third, fourth failure after Safari, after Meek, after Nas, and now here it is, I'm losing my first husband. So at this point, Nikki is going to fight to the depths of her soul to make this marriage work because she does not want to look like a failure. You know, she's used to winning. She's used to winning albums, used to winning platinum records, used to winning Spotify sales, you know, whatever. She's used to being top dog, and I will give her this. Yes, she may be top dog as far as being one of the hottest female rappers out there for now, but that don't mean you're going to be in a winning streak in relationships and with men. You know, everybody has areas in their life where they are really successful, and everybody has other areas in their life when they're failing. You know, I got areas in my life where I'm failing. So, you know, that's part of being human. We all not on top of everything like people think we are, you know. So at this point, Nikki's going to do what she can do to save face, and she's in too deep now because now again she's married to him. Not only that, she has a child from him, so the fact that he's the father of her child, that's going to make her feel even more obligated to standing by him, you know. And at this point she's so desperate, if she's willing to pay to keep him from falling too hard, she's going to do whatever she has to do. She's not going to care what she has to lose or what all she has to sacrifice, because again, it's her pride and her image. She does not want to look like she's failing, and that is the biggest problem with a lot of these celebrity relationships, and even relationships that are not well known. You know, people are all about preserving their image. Even if behind closed doors they're unhappy and they're miserable and they're getting abused and the relationship is volatile, some people, their image is more important than their reality. Remember the fight when Jay-Z and Beyonce and her sister Solange, you know, what was attacking the hell out of Jay-Z in the elevator like a rock roller, you know. And it wasn't the elevator fight that was funny to me. It was the fake front, Uniter front they put on when they came out of, as they exited out of the building. Now, had those cameras never showed what was going on, nobody would have even knew that Solange put the paws on Jay-Z. But to me, it wasn't funny the fact that she attacked him, because I don't think any woman should put her hands on a man, or a man should put his hands on a woman. It's domestic violence either way it goes. But to me, it was hilarious, their reaction, how they played it off when they walked out that building. Honey, Beyonce was like a robot for them cameras. She smiled like nothing happened, but you could see the tension in Jay-Z's face. He struggled because his manhood was challenged by a female, and he had to keep his composure by not hitting her back, because that was his wife's sister, his sister-in-law. Then he's a star, so I'm sure he felt defeated at that point in time. And then Solange has always been very transparent, which is why I always kind of like Solange more, because Solange always been a little bit more, you know, genuine with her feelings. And Solange ain't played it off. You can tell she had that look on her face like, yeah, I beat his ass, and what y'all gonna do? You can tell she still was looking like, in the words of Master P, she was still looking about it like, yeah. And as they approached the limo, Beyonce got in a limo first. It was 2 limos, and one limo was in front of the other. Beyonce got in the limo first, and Solange was getting ready to get in the limo behind. Jay-Z was getting ready to get into the limo behind Solange. That's when the bodyguard was like, we can't take that chance. He made him get to the front, made him get to the limo in the front. So for Beyonce to have sat in a limo with her sister and not came to her husband's defense, Jay-Z must have done something really jacked up. And for Solange, for Beyonce to back her sister up and not her husband, she knew, even though Solange was wrong for how she attacked Jay-Z, she knew it was for good reason. It was something that Jay-Z did. Beyonce didn't have the balls or the bravery to confront him about it, so her sister did it. This is like, no, B, you can go ahead. You can sit to the side. I got this. Let me get him right together, cause he not gonna be disrespecting you up in here, and I'm your sister. He gonna do it in front of me. He gonna be flirting with that hoe. Oh hell no. I'm gonna get him right together. You ain't got to say a goddamn thing. I will. And that's how that went. But anyway, it was the reaction of how they tried to play it off like nothing ever happened, and that is the fakery of these red carpets relationships. The camera has trained them to put on that smiley face no matter what, because you're trained that in show business. Even when you're performing on the stage, if you fall and bust your ass, get right back up and smile like nothing ever happened. The show must go on. And that is how these celebrities are trained. The show must go on. We must continue to smile like nothing is wrong. We must continue to sign autographs like nothing is wrong, even though inside I'm toe up from the floor up. I've heard celebrities say, I had to perform, and that was the same night my grandmother died. That was the same night my mom and daddy died. I didn't even want to do my show. Didn't even want to do it. But because all of these people paid all of these millions to see me perform, I had to go out and perform the same night I found out my grandfather died. Several celebrities have said that. And a lot of y'all was sitting there watching y'all favorite celebrities perform, not even understanding what kind of pressure they were under before they performed for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about with Nicki Minaj. She's going to put on this united front. And she doesn't care what she has to lose in the process to keep her family together. But the reality is, like I stated, no matter how much she pays for him, because we know she could afford it. Ain't no doubt about that. She could afford it. She got all the money in the world, but she's never going to have enough money to buy him off of that. Because again, a registered sex offender, that's a lifetime offense, you know. And that's going to be the turbulent part, because it's going to be things that she's going to want. And the only thing Nikki is going to be able to do, and that's probably what she's doing now, she's going to have to adjust to his lifestyle. And the other piece of the puzzle is he got to adjust to not being able to enjoy the luxuries of her lifestyle but so much. So it's a very turbulent situation for the both of them, because she's married to a man that is restricted, like he's still living with his parents. He has to be home at a certain time. He has an ankle monitor on, so he has to be home at a certain time. When they go out places, paparazzi cannot miss and get the wrong picture. Not one wrong picture. If paparazzi gets a picture of him drinking, you know, that's what husband and wives do. When I go out to eat, my husband's not a drinker. I drink wine. But as a star, and because the whole world knows who the hell he is, if paparazzi snaps a picture of him even sipping a glass of wine, do you know how critical that is? Stuff that me and you take advantage of because we have that kind of freedom. He's not going to have, he don't have that luxury. Even though his wife could afford the best of champagne, the most expensive wine. She can get that $5,000 Cristal champagne, whatever. Me, I don't, the cheapest, the most expensive I ever brought any type of brand was that Disaronno. And I found a brand cheaper than that tastes just as good, called Bentley's Amaretto, because something about, I love amaretto liquor. I love amaretto. I love the flavor, especially with sweet tea or sweet and sour. I just love it. It's like smooth and it's sweet. I found a cheaper brand than that called Bentley's, and it's $6. So I retired from that Disaronno because for a pint it was like damn $16, $17. But I got something similar. The Bentley's is like only $6. So I'm like, okay, shoot, we good. But that's what I'm saying. Kenneth Petty put himself in a messed up position. He married this woman so he can enjoy the fruits of her labor, but he cursed himself because what he failed to realize was he's a registered sex offender. You cannot do what your wife does, even though she has all the luxury for you to do it. He can't do it. I just gave y'all an example. Nikki has the money where they can go to the most expensive, extravagant restaurant. He bet not dare get caught sipping any champagne or alcohol, because as a registered sex offender, they tell you you're not allowed to have any recreational use of drugs. That means alcohol. That means weed. That means cocaine, crack, whatever. He better not be caught dead. Paparazzi better not catch one picture of him doing any of that. All his curtains. He also cannot be around children. And that's a fact. Now, a lot of people don't understand when you are a registered sex offender. When you are registered as a sex offender, it is a must. It is very imperative. It is very critical that you are not in the presence of children without your community supervisor officer knowing. Think about it. You're a registered sex offender. What part of that don't people understand? Now, when Lovely T was talking about this, because I'm one of her subscribers, I like her content. It was people in her chat asking, well, can he be around children, or is there just certain children he can't be around? Is it only family? Can he be around kids if it's family, or can he only not be around kids if they're non-family? I'm telling you, in the field of corrections that I work, as a registered sex offender, you cannot be around children, period. Only leniency they may spare you is your own child, and the mother has to agree to that. But to just be around your niece and your nephew, Kenneth Petty cannot be around his nieces and nephews. He damn sure can't be around other Nikki's nieces and nephews. Now, I don't know how true this is. They said they recently took a picture with Nicki Minaj husband Nikki, Rihanna, and ASAP with his feminine looking self, but that's another story. And they said Rihanna's niece was around. Now, I don't know how true this is. Supposedly, somebody in the chat room allegedly said that when Nikki posted a picture, she got smart and cropped the child out of the picture, or if the child was in the background. But I tell you one thing, if the registered sex offender officer who's assigned to him sees the real picture and see there's a child there, oh, it's curtains. Especially with this trial coming up, it's curtains. They not playing with these registered sex offenders, honey. He's not supposed to be around children. But see, again, this is why I said Nicki Minaj, Kenneth being with Nicki Minaj, that was the worst mistake he could have made, because that's too much temptation for a man to stay straight. You with a woman with that amount of money, you're bound to slip and get in trouble, because you're going to want to do what your millionaire wife does. So Nicki Minaj is going to be the only one sitting up there drinking $2,000 Cristal while you drink sweet tea or Kool-Aid. Nicki Minaj is around her family, enjoying her family. Her nieces and nephews are there. You want to be around your wife, and your wife want to be around her people. That's hard. Y'all not understanding how difficult their marriage is. Y'all looking at the big shit. It's not the big stuff like, oh, well, yeah, he can't go to other countries. Well, yeah, he got to be home. Yeah, that's the other stuff. But it's the little stuff. Think about it. A lot of you men out here who got wives, y'all are married, whatever. You know, you can't drink wine with your wife. You can't smoke weed with your wife. You can't stay out past 9, 10, 11. Half the time me and my husband go out, we may not come in the house till about 2, 3 in the morning, depending on where we going. How you think you and your wife and your husband, y'all out, babe, it's going on 6 o'clock. We got to take this food to go. Cause your PO gonna call. Your damn ankle monitor bracelet gonna activate if they still see us in here and Longhorn. And it's after 7 o'clock. We got to be home 7:30. Traffic it's going to take us 30 minutes to get home if we got to be there by 8. So we might need to leave about 7:20, especially if it's on a Friday, because everybody and their mama and their grandmama got to eat. Do y'all realize how uncomfortable it is? Y'all sit down and eat, and y'all got to look at what time it is while you see all these other couples. They can sit and enjoy their goddamn steak and damn garlic mashed potatoes and damn sweet potato casserole. They can sit there for hours as just talk and chat. Here it is, you with your millionaire wife, and y'all are having this expensive dinner, and you got to pull off and leave in her Barbie Lamborghini. Y'all got to be home by 8 o'clock. I don't care what nobody say. Them two miserable as hell, because I know all of what ties into being with a registered sex offender. Because I work in a field where I know all of the restrictions they have. And he has to, if he does run errands throughout the day, he's supposed to keep a log. Like you and your husband, you and your wife, let's say y'all decide for the weekend, we're going to, repair the model to the kitchen. We're going to repair the bathroom or whatever. Y'all can stop and go to Lowe's. Then when you go from Lowe's, you can go to Home Depot. See if they got, throughout the day, y'all can make several stops. With a registered sex offender, he has to keep a log of everywhere he's going throughout the day. And he has to report it. Now, each state varies. Certain probation officers varies, but for the most part, they have, I forgot what it's called. It's a board specifically that deals with all states. It's a board for registered sex offenders, and it makes all states abide by general rules, even though each state has their own type of registered sex offender. It's a board, it's a committee that makes sure, that ensures all states are following within the same guideline. So it's certain rules that even the state cannot bend for the registered sex offender. You get what I'm saying? So for instance, whatever government owns people who have to, whatever government owns those who operate people getting driver's license. This is just an example. Even though every state has their own exceptions to who can get a driver's license. For the most part, there's a committee that gives all of the states, Georgia, Florida, whatever, that gives the whole United States basic guidelines that they have to abide by in order for a person to qualify for a license. And even though some of these states, they may bend certain rules and may do things differently, one of the laws are, you know what I mean, you have to show you are a U.S. legal citizen to get a license. Every state mandates that. So that may be like one of the principal rules and regulations that every state got to abide by. Now, it may come to certain stuff where certain states you got to be 16 to get a driver's license. Other states you can be 17. So, but y'all get what I'm saying. But this is what I found to be interesting, y'all. Now, when it was brought to my attention about Nicki Minaj's husband, Kenneth Petty, pleading guilty to failing to register as a sex offender, I noticed, right, when I looked up this story, and like I said, this is not from no off-brand like MediaTakeout.com, a Shade Room, NBC News put this out, Rolling Stone, the top dogs, you know, of celebrity news put this out. I noticed, y'all, every title, peep what it says. I'm going to read the title from Rolling Stone and from NBC News and from, let me put another one that y'all well known. That's what, and Billboard. I'm going to read 3 titles from those. Okay, these are top dog media outlets. Okay, Rolling Stone says Nicki Minaj's husband Kenneth Petty pleads guilty to failing to register as sex offender. That's Rolling Stone. NBC News says Nicki Minaj's husband pleads guilty to failure to register as a sex offender. Okay. Billboard says Nicki Minaj's husband. Do y'all see the pattern? XXLmag.com, which is like, I think it's like a hip hop urban magazine. Nicki Minaj's husband. They won't even say the man name. That this is, Nicki's not realizing, okay, People magazine, and we know People is top of the line. Nicki Minaj's husband Kenneth Petty pleads guilty to failure. They keep associating her name. This is bad for her brand. This is not a good look at all. So he's still not getting his own identity. He still doesn't have his own identity as a man being with Nicki Minaj, because they don't even respect him enough to address his name. They only address his name in the actual story. But the title is Nicki Minaj's husband. And the world is going to always perceive him as such. See, he's getting cursed too for leaving his woman that was down by law to go be with his star, to go be with Nicki Minaj the star. He's getting his own foot put up his own ass because he's still not being respected. They still don't see him as his own man. They won't say Kenneth Petty pleads guilty. It's Nicki Minaj. He's going to always be seen as the underdog when it comes to her. And like I said, he cursed himself because he's with a woman that has access to so much within the world, but he can't touch it. He's never going to be able to enjoy it. You know, guys, that's like being with a beautiful woman who has a nice body and she ain't going to let you hit it. She lays up in the bed naked with you, and just she not about to give it up. That has to be burning fire to know you have something desirable right in the reach of your hands and you can't even enjoy it. Kenneth Petty will never enjoy Nicki Minaj's life. I don't care how much he sits in a Lamborghini with her. I don't care if they go shopping at Dolce & Gabbana, Versace. He can dress up a nice and all of that, but he will never enjoy the life with his millionaire wife. Now, another thing I notice, every time they take pictures, he has to put up this gangster face, this hardcore persona, because even in his heart, he knows Nicki Minaj shouldn't even be with him. Even he know that. He's probably puzzled to this day trying to figure out why Nicki Minaj is even interested in him. Nicki picked you up because you was her last option, Mr. Petty. So he has to prove that even though he's with this star, that's his way of trying to put up this alpha male persona, like, I'm not the underdog. I know y'all think I'm the underdog, but I'm not the underdog. That's his way of trying to prove his masculinity. When in actuality, just his sexual offense has already tainted the image of his masculinity, being that even though it was years ago, you raped a female. Allegedly. But we know it's past allegedly, because you wouldn't have had to register if it was just allegedly. And of course, he's willing to submit because he wants to enjoy the fruits of the benefits. But he's gonna always be the underdog, because not only is he not on Nicki's status, but he can't do what Nicki do. Even with all her millions in the bank, if Nicki was to give him one of her black cards, let's say if she was to give him a black card with $1 million on it for him to spend and splurge as much as he wants, half of that stuff he can buy off of there, a car, a house, or whatever, he's not going to be able to enjoy it. Let's say if he buys a $300,000 car, he can't just drive that $300,000 car anywhere. I could drive my 2016 Toyota RAV4. I could drive that all over the place, way more than he can a $300,000 Lamborghini, or however much they cost. He'll have a $300,000, $500,000 car, and he could only use it to a certain degree. If he were to buy a whole nother house on the side, he will have to let his PO know, because he's not going to be able to buy that house and the PO finds out that the house is in his name, because the PO is going to say to him, first of all, you can't get another location. You have to stay on one location. He basically put himself at the mercy of Nicki Minaj. That's the best way I could sum it up. He put himself at the mercy of Nicki Minaj. And Nicki Minaj, she put herself at the mercy of him. Also, you know, they both really, the best perception I could come up with is that, you know, they both really cheated each other. Really, they cheated each other, because Nicki can never be the wife she really wants to be to him and for him, because he's limited. It's so much that she can give him, so much that she could offer him, but because he has to register as a sex offender, she's not going to be able to extend that. And he, on the other hand, he cheated her, because here it is, he's with this millionaire woman who he can't really give himself to as a husband. The only reason why they was down with having this child together, because she knows that's the one thing he could give her without the law intervening, and vice versa. But now that y'all have the child, y'all gonna need something else to look forward to. Y'all not just gonna be popping babies out, and you can't travel together. You got to be back to the house at a certain time. Every year he has to go to the registered sex offender board and update his information. I think it's once a year. And the sad part is the community officer could come to the house unannounced anytime he wants. And, you know, that's, honestly, that's a hard line to walk. I've seen plenty of inmates who, just on regular probation, end up right back in jail for one small mishap. Just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Didn't do anything wrong, just hanging around the wrong person. Kenneth Petty, he's going to have to really, really watch his ass, because he's with a woman that has a lot, and that's a lot of temptation. Even an average person can't be on their best behavior. We all have slipped and broke the law. We all done drove behind the wheel knowing we had a little too much, knowing we a little tipsy. We all have, you know, missed and walked out the grocery store, forgot something was in the buggy. We all done had little slip-ups. But the bad part is he can't afford a slip-up. And Nicki Minaj is going to be so distraught. And she's not understanding. She's more dangerous to him than helpful. And it's not because she's doing the wrong thing. It's because of her lifestyle. It's going to be hard for this man to not want to do what he's not supposed to do, because he's around it. Because she could afford it. One thing about a broke person, broke people, we stay in less trouble because we can't afford to go out there and F off. These celebrities, some of these celebrities got more DUIs than a little bit, because they can keep buying their way off until they kill somebody. Or a lot of these celebrities that have several divorces because they could afford to keep divorcing. I mean, you got couples in a struggle, want a divorce, but realize the reality is, shit, we can't even afford to divorce each other. It's too much that's been invested. We can't afford to lose this house that it both took us 30 years paying off together. The kids are grown now. If we miserable, I'm going to sleep in the goddamn living room, and you going to sleep in the bedroom. And that's how that's going to go. Neither one of us ain't going nowhere. We can't afford it. I just really think, and I'm not rooting the worst for them. You know, I feel like, because Nikki's image is very important to her, and she does not want to strike out in love again, she's going to fight with all her heart to make it work. So I will give her that. I believe she's going to be relentless. She's going to fight this all the way till there's nothing else to fight with. Kenneth Petty, he's going to hold on, because he does not want to lose the luxury of being with Nicki Minaj. Not only that, his ego. He knows he has a woman that's top dog in the game, and he doesn't want no other man having access to that. Also for Nikki, that's her child's father. You know, that gives him another advantage that a lot of other men don't have. So they're going to both hold on to each other for all the wrong reasons, because of ego, because of image, and because of selfishness and desperation, because both of them are desperate in their own way. But I believe in due time, the fakery is going to unravel. I believe eventually ish is going to get real, especially every time he has a hang up with the law. Every time he makes a mistake, every time he's somewhere he should not be, anytime he's somewhere and some paparazzi takes a picture of him, he's caught with a child in the background they don't even know, or he's sitting somewhere having a drink he shouldn't even have. He's with a woman that's a mega star, so paparazzi is always following her, so they're going to follow him. It's hard to be on your best behavior, especially when the whole world is watching you, and you know the whole world is watching him because of because of what he's known for. You know, and Nikki already has natural haters, who was already hating on her before she married. So now that she married this registered sex offender, they just sitting on the sideline just waiting for him to slip up. But Nikki could have had any man she wanted. She got desperate, and she let her ego get in the way. And I'm Nicki Minaj, I'm a bad bitch, I'm not going to be by myself, I'm not going to be a single woman, I'm going to get me a man. And you did, but the problem is you got one that has a lot of issues. He has a lot of legal matters that's going to be very overwhelming to you, because Nikki, you're not used to this kind of world. I mean, and this is not to knock you or discourage you or to make you feel less than a woman, because I really believe you're going to persevere. I believe if they was to give him 10 years, I believe you a stand-up woman. You're going to stand there and wait for 10 whole years on him. I believe it. I believe you're going to make sure you put $2,000 on his books every month. You're going to make sure he's straight. I know for a fact. Nikki is going to definitely stand by her man. So I ain't knocking that. But what I'm saying, girlfriend, is you got a hell of a journey. Because this is just the beginning. It's only, been 3 years? Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. You still got this other young lady. You still got the victim that's suing you for trying to coerce her. So it's a lot that y'all are up against right now. And another thing is, it's your brand. Your brand. Nobody don't really look at you as Nikki the rapper. They looking at you as Nikki the rapper married to a registered sex offender. That he tainting your brand. Now, this is not to say she'll never make money ever again, but it's just the fact that your brand is your livelihood. And once somebody taints that, it's kind of hard to remove that stain, but time will tell, you know what I mean. Nikki may come out this in clean water, she may get an epiphany like, what, this is more than what I thought, let me quit while I'm ahead. And she got to be careful with that, because you got guys like Kenneth Petty who can get petty when a woman with money don't want her no more, and then they suing you for everything you got. That's what Kevin Federline did with Britney. Only difference that may say Nicki Minaj is because he's a registered sex offender and he already is tainted by the law. He may not have too much room to try to sabotage Nicki if things were not to work out. But the law is funny, because at times when you think the law not gonna get involved and put things in the favor of the loser, sometimes the law surprise you. They'll do that. It's been good women who done had to pay husbands off who ain't did a damn thing. Britney Spears was one of them. What's the woman that's married to Young Jeezy? Jeannie Mae. She had to pay off her husband. Kelly Clarkson had to pay off her husband. So women can't get too big and confident and figure the law is only in favor of women. I'm seeing more and more women having to pay spousal support. Mary J. Blige, I think she's finally stopped paying it. But yeah, so Nicki Minaj, hopefully this doesn't backfire, because she's been very dedicated, stand by your man type of chick. So hopefully it works out in her favor. So anyway, y'all, leave y'all comment below. Let me know what y'all think of this. Do y'all really feel like Nicki is way in over her head? Do you feel like she's gonna be ride or die all the way to the end, or she may get to the point where she's realizing, damn, I'm steady kicking out money, I'm steady paying for lawyers, I'm steady paying for attorneys, this is just too much, I need to quit while I'm ahead? What do y'all think she's gonna do? Me, I just think she's gonna keep putting out money, because she feels like she has so much of it. She really don't feel like she's losing anything. And again, she wants to preserve that image. She has already failed multiple relationships, and anytime a woman has had multiple failed relationships, she's going to hold on to a failed relationship she can hold on to. Even if she know the relationship is failing, the fact that she's able to keep it, she's going to keep it anyway. So I think she's going to go all the way to the end. If she does decide to divorce him or whatever, I will be shocked. But if she never leaves, I will definitely not be shocked. So anyway, y'all, I'm going to get ready to shut it down. Let me know what y'all think. Leave y'all comment below. This is your girl, your diva and knowledge, Lady Mocha. Remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth, and I'm going to always break you off a slice of knowledge. Thank y'all for hanging out at Mocha's podcast. Be blessed. Take care.